the science of feeling real. Every year, games engines grow closer to photorealism. Ray tracing mimics light physics. Neural rendering mimics human motion. But paradoxically, as visual fidelity rises, many players report feeling less connected. Psychologists call this the uncanny valley, the point where simulation becomes lifelike enough to trigger unease instead of empathy. But there is more to it. The real problem isn't realism, it's cognitive saturation. When every visual channel is overloaded, your perceptual system stops participating, it stops imagining. And imagination is the oxygen of immersion. Because the deepest immersion doesn't happen when a game looks real. It happens when your brain believes it. Modern graphics pipelines are astonishing feats of engineering. Real-time global illumination, physically based rendering, subsurface scattering. Yet, these systems optimize for optics, not meaning. Media theorist Lev Manovich described digital realism as a perpetual simulation treadmill. Each advance raises the baselines of expectation, but not necessarily the emotional payoff. You can double your try count, but you can double your empathy buffer. Immersion, according to MIT's Janet Murray, isn't visual, it's participatory. It's the player's psychological investment in a responsive world. AAA games build worlds that look alive. Lo-fi games build worlds that listen back. A lo-fi art works not despite its simplicity, but because of it. Cortex actually process information at the center and interpolate the rest. Pixel art and minimalism exploit this. They let your brain perform the final rendering pass. This is rooted in Gestalt psychology, the study of how humans perceive pattern and holes. Your brain fills in gaps, turning a distraction into coherence. A few pixels become a smile, a cluster of colors becomes nostalgia. Shigeru Miyamoto once said, "Constraints breed creativity." In neuroscience terms, constraints breed prediction, and prediction, the ability to complete incomplete data, is the basis of perception itself. Lo-fi design hands you fragments and trusts your brain to assemble meaning. That trust is the sense of immersion. When sight simplifies, sound becomes architecture. Game design call this psychoacoustics, the illusion of space and emotion created through frequency and timing. Retro games use limited sound channels, forcing composers to rely on auditory illusion. Chiptunes exploit missing fundamental frequencies. Your brain hears a complete chord and when only parallel tones exist. Koji Kondo, composer of Zelda and Mario, once described his melodies as loops that the brain completes. That's neuroscience in practice. Auditory prediction at play. Games like Journey and Side use silence as a structure. Dynamic audio engines respond to player input, aligning sound timing with their heartbeat and motion, a form of bio-synced rhythm design. So while AAA games simulate space, lo-fi games simulate presence. One feels the room, the other feels the mind. Lo-fi games strip away access and reveal the pure logic of play, the systems beneath of spectacle. Game theorist Jesper Joe calls this half-real design, where fiction and rules exist in tension, each giving meaning to the other. Without cinematic distraction, the tension becomes visible. This clarity of feedback, Ludic clarity, is the foundation of game feel, a term popularized by Steve Swink to describe the tactile dialogue between player and system. A tight jump arc, a perfect timed sound cue, the physics of meaning. Celeste is a masterclass in this. Every input has emotional weight. Each try becomes a conversation between failure, persistence, and grace. When visuals are minimal, emotion matters. When sound is spare, rhythm speaks. When feedback is instant, emotion becomes physical. In media theory, compression aesthetics refer to the beauty that emerges from digital imperfection. The warmth of VHS, grain, the shine of pixel ads. Philosopher Walter Benjamin argued that mechanical reproduction strips art of its aura. Lo-fi games resurrect that aura through imperfection. Each pixel feels altered. Minecraft embodies this. Its blocky geometry activates procedural imagination. A player's brain fills the gaps between abstraction and intent. It's symbolic realism, a word that feels real not because it imitates, but because it empowers you to interpret. That's immersion through authorship. Cognitive scientists describe perception as predictive coding. The brain doesn't receive reality, it guesses, constantly correcting errors. Lo-fi aesthetics align with this perfectly. They deliver suggestive data that encourage the brain to co-alter the experience. That's what psychologists call perceptual economy. Maximum meaning with minimal input. High fidelity can break that loop by offering too much information, while lo-fi keeps the brain engaged, always completing, always imagining. That's why a short hike can feel more alive than Red Dead Redemption 2. One lets you wander through code, the other lets you breathe the metaphor. Immersion is not the illusion of reality, it's the intimacy of interpretation. The future of game won't be defined by how real it looks, but by how intelligently it collaborates with human perception. Because we don't dream 4K, we dream low resolution, symbols, sound, and story stitched together by the brain. And that's why lo-fi games will always feel more human than the words try to out-handle them. The highest resolution is imagination.